What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video. Did it to you guys again, my bad, man. Another week-long break. I believe this will be going up Friday, so it'll be about a week from the last time that I posted exactly when this goes up. And that's just because last weekend, you know what I'm saying, that event doesn't really count as an event. I wasn't going to cover that. And then on top of that, most of the topics really just aren't battle-based, and for those of you that have been here a long time, you know me, I cover battles, battle history, battles going down, matchups. And then after the twerk bookem, I just thought I'm not going to force content, right? Just to force content. I'd rather sit back and give you guys maybe a video that takes me a little bit longer to make, take a couple of videos off and give you something, a little bit more lucrative at the end. And that is why we are getting another episode of the Golden Year, of my Golden Year series, another edition. As you guys have seen, and it says in the title, going over the best years and best runs in battle rap history, looking at someone's prime, just a random historic run, an underrated part of their career, all that. And as you can see, we are doing Shotgun Suges 2015. Shout out Let's Talk Battle Rap, you know what I'm saying, at part of the team, but France, Titus, Q, Tata, everybody, you know what I'm saying, there. I got love for the entire team. And we had a post that went up about Shotgun Suges URL resume while the topic of Tay-Rock's 50th battle. Congrats to all these gentlemen and all the work they've given to URL, by the way, especially going 50 and up. And actually showing that Suge's URL resume, he has him in the lead for the most URL battles at 56. And I looked at that, I'm like, where is the prime in there? Now, if you ask me, and we'll talk about the end of the video, I do think right now, 2022, 2023, might be the best show we've ever seen, all things considered, especially pen-wise. But when I asked people what they look at Prime Suge as, very common answer was around 2015 to 2017. And I think we'll get into the more why I didn't really include 2016, 2017 in here, but we will talk about those years a little towards the end. But Suge's 2015 to me is the one year I always think of some of his most iconic moments, some of his best wins, some of his best rounds. And for all those reasons, I thought it would be a good idea while he's possibly in like a second prime now to go back and do a deep dive on Suge's 2015. And for those of you that have watched this before, we start with the background, where he was coming into this historic year. So without further ado, let's go to that. So, reflecting really over that 2014, where Suge was before he broke into this, really great part of his career. And he still was a great name. Going back to 2010, that was a great year in Suge's career. But by the time you get to 2014, there is some good here. I particularly think his battle with Rosenberg Raw is super, very fire. One of the first, one of the first RBE cards at that. Underrated battle, actually, if you guys want to go watch that. And then there's the debacle on UW with the T-Rex battle that's like supposed to be one, but Rex said it's supposed to be one, but then he raps a second, but then he won't rap a third. Weird energy. That whole UW event had some pretty weird energy around it, so that battle really isn't that great. And then you get to the Sharon battle on URL, and I think is probably one of the more famous Suge losses, just because where Sharon was, now we know him, smack killer. I think everybody has super respect for Sharon, but going back then, the kind of classic, nerdy or white boy coming on smack and smoking the top talent. It was a little crazy looking at the time. We'll talk about a couple punches, that people gave him for that. But with all that being said, still was a trendsetter in performance, and he had shown this before, but was going to really elevate that in 2015 in terms of using physical ability, kind of using bars that involve physical contact on stage. And while it was a little inconsistent here in the footage right in 2014, something that Suge's always been a little bit criticized for, the inconsistency, the pen. Coming into this, I felt like he had something to prove, and what better time to kind of prove when the fans are at you than a rookies versus vets card, getting a fresh product that people are believing in and making an example. And that rookie would be the Saga, Shotgun Suge versus the Saga on the Rookies versus Vets card. A card that I wish they would bring back in full force in the final exams is kind of, a Rookies versus Vets card, just not called that. So if they want to continue that tradition, I think it's always best when you just bring the 5 or 6 best prospects of the class, which is normally as many good stars and great battlers as you're going to make anyways. When you take those big ones, give them vets, and just let them go at it. And this one was obviously the most star-studded with, Clips, Shine, DNA, Verb, everybody giving shots. And Suge versus Saga is one of those battles. Saga at the time, very original, making Christian battle rap new. And right in the first round, Saga would start off, and as he was new, there was some freshness to his style, but there also comes inexperience. And his first round is just a great example of that, and a great example of a vet leveling up on him. Saga's first just is not very good. He kind of does, I don't do gun bars, but if I did, I'd do it better than you. The gun bars were cringy. You a gangbanger? That's uncool, son. I'm your big cousin. really little wordplay like that, kind of unconfident in his delivery, just looks nervous, and overall has a very, very beatable first. And then Suge has his best round of the battle. The peace offering, 100K, that's what the peace offering. He gets in that bag. We know how Suge gets when he gets really, kind of just barking on somebody, man. You know what I'm saying? The OJ, the Juice Man bar hit like a haymaker, just showing a complete difference in pacing and everything all the way. I had the bando look like a homeless shelter, fire. One of the first, it might be the first, I'm not 100% sure, but he dunks on him. The Shaq attack.
You like to say a lot of bullshit and fabricated with a punchline. I'm the type to spit Saga in the lunch line. Smack, we grown. I go hard in the paint on my Shaq when it's crunch time. Yo!
What, probably the first time, maybe the first Suge dunk, you know what I'm saying? But, and as we all know, the pocket check always, became a pattern, especially around this time for Suge. So the first round is super duper clear. The second round of this battle is definitely closer. I think Saga still starts out super duper slow, though. He is the comet down rebuttal. He did like a space thing and a comet down. That was dope. But overall, it was just kind of a light round until he hits the second half. Everybody want to talk about God until they need him. That was fire. He does a scheme with all the Jersey rapper names. Just, classic rookie kind of like pen-heavy mistakes, going for some of the low-hanging fruit or the complexity. It just didn't hit like that. But then he gets to the bar, working the angle about how Sharon beat Suge, which I mentioned, was talked about a lot at this time. It would kind of make Suge look crazy, although Sharon would go on to beat a ton of other, URL legends. But the way I watched that Cracker smash this grape and he whined, it made me think I'm at Communion again. I probably butchered the setup, but overall crazy haymaker. But Suge's second to me is just more complete front to back. He starts working the religion angle. It's like it's one Quran, it's like 10 Bibles, comparing, he's Muslim to Saga being Christian. I thought that he got some good stuff out of that. Let this 40 Glock rain for 40 days and 40 nights. New nails, a red top will make him look bad. The boot to the grill, big boss, performing, just moving around the stage. That's the difference, is while Saga might lyrically have him a little bit, especially as you get farther on in the battle, I still think Suge looks way more comfortable up there and just performs way better. So from there, I'm hitting the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That was fire too. And personally, I had Suge up a really comfortable 2-0. For Saga's sake, though, he is an amazing third. A reason that Saga was such a, welcome prospect. Still a very good battler, but when he first came in with this class, was looked upon because his third is great. Why do you check pockets if you don't go in them? Smack has been checking your pockets his whole career. Has some really good angles that he executes well in the third. While Suge, I'm not going to say fully nails in the third, but clearly the weakest of his 3 rounds. Clear round for Saga in the third, but for me, Suge showed experience, performance, seasoning, just looked more comfortable while rapping well. All of Suge's strength at its best, and that's why I had Suge 2-1 over Saga. So to follow up battling one rookie, he would move on to then another, but this time the rookie that was considered top of the class just made evented on the Rookies versus Vets card with Charlie Clips, and that would be TTop. Suge versus TTop on Redemption. For those of you, those of you that watch me often, you know that I actually recently-ish covered this battle, did a flashback review and did more of a bar for bar. So I don't want to go too in depth. If you want to see that, go to my flashback reviews playlist. You can get more in depth on the entirety of the battle, but I do want to still take the main points of Suge in this battle and really emphasize them. And one of those is definitely similar to the Saga battle, comfortableness on the stage. There's a clear difference between how comfy T-Top is and confident he is on the stage compared to Suge. Very similar to the last battle and similar to something Suge's done his whole career. His first round is going to be energy-filled. Even if it is a battle where he downslopes, these aren't battles, where he does. But even if it is one of those battles, he's always usually going to have a very powerful first. And T-Top has a decent first, but there's dry spots. There's kind of like trying to get the crowd, like, come on, crowd, fuck with me, while Suge is just going a million miles per hour. That Snoop and JD, I give him the pow, headshot, straight down, make him sit Indian style. Just really, like I said, that grittiness, some like real clever, what's the word? Not clever simplicity, but like brutal simplicity to it. Like make him sit Indian style. You know what I'm saying? It's not too complex. It's just, So that, and then probably his most notable, maybe his biggest reaction to the battle, besides a pocket check, you know what I'm saying? It's always going to hit. This pump, get on up and knock the soul out of him.
Go get. I got it on me now. Bang the hammer at his feet. Make him do the James Brown. He want to be the godfather. This 40 knock a hole out of him. 30 was super bad. This pump get on up and knock the soul out.
James Brown bar was crazy. I wrote all "I'ma kill you" shit like hate mail. So even a little bit of like the wittiness. That's not like a full-on crazy bar, but a witty little one-off punch. So in the first, he went extremely clear. The second's actually close. TTop, even though he still doesn't really have the crowd fully on his side, he keeps hitting it like, if punchline's like 1 to 10, he keeps hitting 7s. But he just keeps landing 7s. You know what I mean? So from there, has a good second. I like Suge's second as well. He has a biscuit gun line bar that's really crazy. The Maybach bar, just a bit of a shorter round. So I actually edged TTop the second, but it is a debatable round. And then the third, I did have Suge winning the third. And what he does, underrated in the third, that I thought was great, was his angle. Obviously, he's one of the first to really get a hold of like the TTop, soldier mother drugs angle, which now we've heard a million times, but this is towards the beginning of T-Top's career, especially versus vets. So he really works it, put needles in her body. I'm a voodoo doctor. She go head first in the drugs like a scuba diver. Just really works the pattern well, and overall just outshines Top in the third. So he gets the first round very clear, doing what we love Suge for, the energy, the performance, the real, just back-to-back going at you. And then the third, it's an overall great 3-round performance, but in the third, he really angles him out. Just goes to show how kind of underrated versatile he is. While he hasn't always been, the biggest pen, that's always been the big critique, he's one of the best performers. He's a good angler, and he has great pace and good rapping ability. So even at this point, you know what I'm saying, we just go to show, even though it's versus rookies, even though they go on obviously to be great battlers, as we know, he did get 2 very great wins to start out this great 2015. Now, to follow the T-Top battle, and before we get into, another big battle for him, big stage Summer Madness battle, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like the in-between work that Suge had that was also really good in 2015. Like the lead battle, the best example of this is versus Oops on UW, sitting at 66,000 views. I believe every other battle here that we're going to talk about has like millions of views. So 66,000, 90-second rounds, really flies under the radar, and probably a lot of people don't remember it or don't even know if it happened if you weren't like an avid fan at the time watching. There's a lot of avid fans that probably even forgot about it, but at a time that when Oops had some, brightness, a couple years in the beginning of RBE, right? Coming off of the Daylight, the O-Red performances where he lost, but they were progressive. So this was him, getting some more opportunities versus vets. And he really just shot his own self in the foot this battle. This first round, he has a pocket check fail on Suge, which is hilarious. Just Suge actually literally dodges the pocket check and just doesn't have a good first round. Meanwhile, Suge is kind of punching his lights out. The 40 hit him with a combination. Recline his shit, laid back, looking comfortable. Pocket checks him in the first, just clears him out. Like I said, 90-second rounds, not a lot. Oops chokes in the second. So there's that. And then in the third round, you could debate that Oops got that round, has a little bit more real talk, while Suge just has one standout haymaker.
You follow him around like a groupie. What's your life like, nigga? Ferguson? Protesting? Marching, you the show setter. I'm from North, nigga. The cops know better.
That hit crazy. But no matter how you call it, it was either 2-1 or 3-0 Suge, and it kind of just went by like that was normal work, which starts to happen, you know what I'm saying, when a guy gets on a run, he dispatches as someone that's lower level comp and it just goes by. He also had battles against Tech 9 on Don't Flop, for obvious reasons, you know what I'm saying, I'm not going to go into that battle, but Suge actually did good in that battle, as well as a battle against Mrs. Black Diamond. So he did a lot of in-between work everywhere, winning for the most part, obviously has good performances in between, so I'm not doing bar for bar right on each. I thought the Oops one was the best example because I did like that performance, although it's limited to 90-second rounds. But just wanted to show that in between of these great big stage performances, he's doing true warrior shit and battling on the side. I think overall he might have came out to 7 or 8 battles overall in the year. So a quick little bit, before we get into a big Summer Madness matchup, reflecting on some of the warrior, road warrior shit Suge was doing. And as I said, the next battle up was a big battle on Summer Madness, and that battle would be on Summer Madness 5, Shotgun Suge versus Big T. Dope battle, battle of the big guys at the time, man. You're still getting probably the tail end of prime Big T. I'd say this is like one of the last like truly great Big T performances that we got in that type of like main stage level. And Suge once puts in another great big stage battle in his catalog. From a back and forth perspective, this is probably the one that I don't know if you could call it classic or would call it classic. I'm pretty specific with what I call classic. Maybe impact wise at age, but I just think this is like in terms of back and forth, probably the closest to that, or just the best battle quality wise. I really enjoyed both of their performances, all 6 rounds, 3 from each. And it started off on Big T, and it's funny, you start off with the first. The first, in retrospect, is the most debatable. It's what the battle comes down to. And I love Big T's first, the correct officer. That's the Rick Ross fee. He had this like Confederate flag, leaving me hanging concept that he did like 2 or 3 different ways. That was crazy. And we just know that when Big T was really, the unorthodox, and the way that, all these weird, like, little performances, gestures, and kind of, like, unorthodox pockets he would get into, which made his first great. And what I love about Suge's first in return is he does a lot more play with the wordplay here. Suge has upgraded his pen a lot, which I've said a million times here, and I'm going to keep giving him credit for, because I think it's very rare that people work on their reference pool and their wordplay. That's actually like just hard to think more creatively, and I just think that Suge really put the time in there. But at this time, this was one of the better head performances from Suge. We're in it, it's you and I, T, unit wordplay. You would better go on a diet or die, T. That was fire. The warranty, little double, triple entendre there. You could debate this triple. We really used it as a double, but that was fire. Pocket check obviously always hits, and even the Sandra Bland bar, which one of his biggest bars of the battle. The second round is like a standout Big T round. If we are going to do a Big T Golden Years one day. I don't know if this battle will be in there, but Big T second versus Suge is the round of that battle. If you guys haven't seen that, if you're newer, check that out. The crazy patterns all throughout, and it's Suge's weakest round, although he still has the Martin Lawrence bar. This will knock Martin Lawrence out of his Big Mama suit. That was fire. I'll do him old school, like 2K on the Dreamcast, regular Suge, old school references and shit. Still a little bit of that, even with the upgraded pen. So the first debatable, T clearly got the second, and the third is clearly Shotgun Suges. T's lightest round, and Suge lights him up for the first half of his round. Good rhyming pockets. I'm Kimbo Slice in the backyard. It's actually recycled. He took that from his Reaper Rail battle, but he would have won the round without it, you know what I'm saying? But that hit crazy on the stage, and then his What's Your Life Like, the Mr. Potato Head bar.
Bars, what is life like? While he was trying to stuff mac and cheese shells in a pot, I was trying to stuff mac shells in a Glock. While he was watching Toy Story, I was watching South Central with the bros. While he was trying to put a nose on Mr. Potato Head, I was trying to put a potato on.
Moment in itself, really crazy, and ends on a Hitman Holla call out, humongous grudge building up at the time. So this has everything you can want: the back and forth, the moments, Summer Madness, big call out at the end, a signature What's Your Life Like. This is one of the better battles that Shotgun Suge has. Me personally, I do edge Big T the first round. So just me, you know what I'm saying? I think it's a debatable battle, but I do have Big T 2-1. But either way, this was a huge stock booster for both of them, especially Suge, and really possibly is like that main capsulating, forefront battle to represent his 2015. And now we enter the final battle here of the Golden Years run, the closing battle of his 2015, and that would be Shotgun Suge versus Charlie Clips on the Perfect Day to Die card. One of those, like, kind of a random snippet. I just always find cards like that and Redemption funny. This also had Tay-Rock and John on it, Chilla and Saga, so a few different battles. But Suge and Clips, one of the more, like, star power type of battles on the card. And it's definitely not the craziest battle. I'm not going to go all out and just say it's a bad battle. It has its moments, its ups and downs, but it's definitely not like both of them took it over the moon, as the most serious battle in the world. But the first round is definitely the best bright spot for Suge. And in this battle, it's one that it's funny because I've given Clips so much shit lately, and in this battle you definitely get a Clips that's laid back, and I wouldn't say he's all the way what he's been recently, where he just comes with absolutely nothing. But his first round in particular is terrible. Luckily though, the first round actually starts on Suge. He is the joke. Let's get one thing straight. We both lost to Sharon. I thought that was funny. The Charlie Brown scheme and do it all over again scheme, that was dope. Shit make beats like Rick Rock. Probably the best thing he said in the battle.
I'm from North, from a Crip block. Keep heavy metal like Slipknot. I bag clips like Coke in a Ziploc. Pull up on Linux like a pit stop. Fifth cock. Shit make beats like Rick Rock.
That was fire. The X-Men bar was cool. The pocket tap. I mean, it's like you're just standard fire. Suge first, and as I said, Clips first. It just isn't good. I'm not even gonna mention a bar from it because it's just ridiculous. It's messy. It's disgusting. So Suge was up 1-0 clear, and the one thing that does stink about this battle, and it's one thing that in Suge losses is something you tend to see, and we mentioned a little bit earlier, is one great round and sometimes he just loses gas. I think that's what the second and the third here is. Specifically in the second round, Suge has he was cool. Make him eat clips. That's a half moon. Make him eat clips. That's a half moon. The drag room bar. So his second was dope. What I look like, Sue Surf or something, threw a shot at Surf, but he had an air ball bar to close his round, just didn't, the bar concept didn't land with the crowd. And Clip second is dope. He's the Jimmy Newsome and his girl Newsome Jimmy's. That was solid. The one, like I said, this battle is not much separation, so Clips only has like one real haymaker. It's the gun go, sound like Remy Husband. Cool. Either way, Clips won. Clips won the second round. I'll put a hole in his head, but not any hole. The Rashid won, a bar that he's famously said 67,000 times by now. So it was 1-1, and then the third, Suge has a cool third. Has his What's Your Life Like? Peter Gunn's bar was dope, and then Clips has the Shaq scheme. And I think for anyone that knows this battle, or even if you don't know this battle, this is where the Shaq scheme comes, where he compares Suge's career to Shaq's. Pretty crazy. Then does the Shang Tsung. I made a mistake and turned into Rex. Crazy how Clips closes out. His third is actually a very, very fire round of the all-time Clips round. So Clips ended up taking this battle 2-1 clear. Sucks. I think that if imagine if Suge had beat Clips, what this year would really look like in hindsight. It's still an amazing year in hindsight, don't get me wrong, and he won the first clear in this battle, so definitely put up a fight. But it is a battle that Clips won clear, and as you get into 2016 and 2017, there is a little bit of dips and consistencies and moments. 2016's only battle on URL is Briz. Extremely debatable battle. I personally edge Briz, but you can edge it either way. And in 2017, he has battles like Av, where his first is amazing. Battles like Mike P that he wins, but it's also mixed in with battles like Ill Will, where he gets cleared out. So the inconsistency shows up a little bit more there. But I think specifically in 2015, you could argue for the most part, I think at worst, he's like 6-2 or something of that nature. I mean, overall, Suge had a crazy 2015. Some of his better performance moments, him peak as a performer, as like base his performance, which still is his best attribute, but I think some of his best work was done here in that performance aspect. Angling, moments, wins, just a great year in Shotgun Suge's career. And with all that being said, that is the full wrap-up of the Suge 2015 Golden Years here. 5 main battles to cover on the URL brand. The in-between battles, as you mentioned, like the Oops, Tech 9, things of that nature. And overall, really crazy. 4 out of the 5 battles that we talked about are million-view battles. The only one not being a platinum battle is obviously the Oops battle. But what more could I say? I mean, 2015 is probably going to go down if, years later we don't look back at this 2022 as the best Suge year, which it probably was, truth be told. But 2015, for a lot of us that grew up through the YouTube era, we know this is a nostalgic year, that pinpoint year of Suge's career, where we could probably say that was his best year up until recently. And it's crazy to see someone that was so based on like solely performance and kind of physical contact, taken most of the physical contact out of his performance, became pen and angle heavy. I think that's really something that you have to salute, whether you're a fan of Suge or not. And then the aftermath, besides the few battles we talked about, like Briz and the on and off, he would go on to get Sue Surf and Hitman Holla as well. Hitman is a really good battle. A lot of people have him losing, but I think he did really good versus Hitman. The Surf battle obviously ends up not being great. Funny enough, all these ended up happening on UW, but fills out the resume, just goes to show the advanced body of work he has. Who is Suge basically not battled outside of, a very few names that it seems like he's going to get here in this second wind of his career. But it was just dope to give Suge his flowers. Truth be told, told back in the day when I first became a battle rap fan, wasn't the biggest fan of Suge. You know what I'm saying? There was things I didn't like about his style. It was super pen driven, and now that I've appreciated all styles of battle rap, the performance, the angling, even multisyllabic, you know, coming around to that, understanding and having appreciation for every style of rap, you can see that there's things Suge has done trend-setting wise. His career win-loss, although, you know, Suge has gotten shit for having some losses in the past. He has more wins than people give him credit for. I think his 2015 is a great example of that. And overall, just had a great time, you know, going back in the history books and looking over one of the best years from a Hall of Fame battle rapper. But it's been J Smo Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below, what was your favorite battle from Suge going back to this, like, YouTube era? What do you think is, like, the pinnacle of Suge? I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.